Hey, this is Fred speaking to you as the Golf Smarter recording engineer. I need to make you aware that this conversation with Danny Maude had some recording issues that were not discovered until after we finished. Sound quality is great, but I think since Danny focuses his studio on his YouTube channel, his microphone may have been set to a different sample rate than my microphone, which threw off the internal clock and probably more details than you need. But it did create some glitches that made Danny's answers randomly skip forward a few seconds. I've done everything I could in editing to keep the glitches at bay, but you will notice that some words just have disappeared. I spent the entire morning going through it thoroughly, and I promise that you'll get the gist of what he's talking about. And he has so much to offer and such great content to deliver. Now, unfortunately, I discovered this too late, and since he's outside of London and we recorded this yesterday at the end of his day, we couldn't start all over. Hey, the content is great, and we needed an episode for this week. So now I promise Danny will be back, and I promise this won't happen again. Thanks for your understanding. And stay tuned to the end to hear if your name is called as the winner of a new pair of SQAIRZ golf shoes. Now on with the show. According to Danny Maude, club face is king. And we recap the 2020 Masters.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome back to the Golf Smarter podcast, Danny.
Hi, Fred. How are you doing?
Oh, doing well. So glad to have you back on the show. Last time we spoke, you had just gone into your first lockdown.
Yes.
In the UK. And here we are again, and you're indoors.
Oh, yeah. Not too bad because it's raining outside, so there's not a lot to do out on the right now anyway. So.
Oh, well, that's good. That's keeping people in a little more sane. It's like, okay, we have to stay in anyway. It's raining. But how are things going?
Exactly. We're not missing it.
Not that much of a sacrifice this time around.
Not at the moment.
But the children, are they going stir crazy?
Well, actually, with the difference in this lockdown, the children are back at school.
Oh.
So first lockdown we had the kids. And they were in with us, so we had to do homeschooling, and we did try and do homeschooling, but that didn't work out, as that was very tricky to do. Because our kids are obviously, we got twin boys at 6 and neighbours 8, so yeah, that was tricky to do. But now they're at school.
I recently, someone told me, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a vineyard to homeschool them.
Yeah, it's so true. It is so true. We did try.
Yeah. I'm glad my kids are older and I don't have to worry about it. But so as we're recording this on a Monday morning, yesterday, the 2020 Masters completed on November 15th. It's like, wait, November and the Masters finished? And it was, there were some things about this Masters that I really enjoyed. I love the drones. Being able to see the golf course from different perspectives with the drones was awesome.
Amazing. It was awesome. It's absolutely amazing.
It was, wasn't it?
Yes, loved it.
Okay, it wasn't just
loved it. No, I loved it. I loved all the camera angles, the fact that you could actually, I think for the first time, I don't know if you were the same, Fred, here, but I think being able to see the slopes at Augusta, for me, it was the first time I'd seen all the undulations. I think the autumn light as well, and the autumn sun, should I say, would really giving an amazing definition to the golf course.
Well, that was the second thing that I loved about was without the crowds there, you got a perspective of the course. You could really see the elevation change, which sometimes it's impossible to see because you're just looking at people.
Yes, so true. Yeah.
So it allowed us to get a better perspective of the golf course. It's like, wait, there's two greens right next to each other there. I never knew that. And well, that's because there's always people standing in between. Yeah,
and property. You start seeing property on the actual place. You're thinking, I just thought there was a small clubhouse. And there's like these properties dotted around.
It's amazing. So, no crowd. I liked having no crowds. The second reason I liked having no crowds is because you could hear the golfers talking.
Yes.
Now you can hear them mumbling about or swearing about the shot that they just made.
Yeah.
right? You can hear things that you couldn't normally hear. And I really enjoyed that.
Me too. And I would love, I mean, I think they are talking about it. I would love to see them mic'd up.
Yeah.
I think getting some of the final groups mic'd up would be so fascinating and wonderful for viewing, I think. Listening to how their concerns, their frustrations, what's going on in their world at that peak moment would be amazing.
Right. I mean, with competitive team sports, you obviously can't do that because, as we had here in the States with the cheating of, like guys are looking at monitors and sending signals and things. You obviously can't do that. But with golf, your competition's not listening to what's going on, and they can hear you anyway. They're right there. Yeah. They're standing next to you at the tee box.
And at the end of the day, you're not really that competing. You're not competing like for like. You're different golfers, and you have different strategies, and you're not going to copy strategy. You have your own. They're the elite of the elite. So,
well, and your strategy changes from shot to shot sometimes.
It does. Yeah, absolutely.
You're not hitting. Absolutely. If you don't hit it in the fairway, it's like, ooh, now what do I do, right? So yeah, no crowds, drone shots. The quietness with the no crowds, and just November golf. It was a different golf course.
It was, wasn't it?
Than they always play.
Yeah, and
it was it was a different golf course Thursday and Friday as it was Saturday and Sunday.
It looked easier. I don't know if you thought the same, but I thought it. If you looked at, I've never seen the greens as slow. They were so receptive. Where you would have seen some of the balls bouncing and traveling and then drifting off into the runoff areas. That didn't seem to be happening. I think. Not taking anything away from Dustin, I think it's an easier golf course than I've seen in years gone by. Maybe longer in terms of the carry and what have you, not getting the rollout. But I think Augusta, is the greens are the thing that they protect it. Those undulations, the difficulty of getting on the wrong side of a hole, the putts, being able to put up and down those slopes. They are the things that make that golf course so tough.
Playing from the white tees didn't hurt.
No, true.
I'm kidding. Not taking anything away from DJ. He was remarkable. He's a beast. Nothing phases the guy. I admire that so much, especially right now in the way my game is going, that nothing phases him. He's just the same with every shot. And two bogeys in a row. Yeah, okay, I'm not worried about it.
I was glad. I said to a friend of mine, as we do most of the time when the Masters is on, and I said, I really hope DJ wins. He deserves it. He's such a great player. He's had such a great run, and knowing that he literally was an hour away, an hour and a half from the actual golf course. As a junior golfer, it's just supposed to be absolutely amazing for him.
Also, I think the lack of crowds. Made it made the rookies a little more competitive. I think that they weren't, and this season there just been no crowd. So this is just like golf they've played their whole life, whether it be college or junior golf, whatnot. There's no crowd. Just the golf clap that you hear, not the roar of the crowd.
The buzz, and I wonder how that affected Dustin as well going down the stretch, because usually these roars you could potentially, if you know that there's roars ahead of you, you wonder how there's. Whereas Dustin would, if he'd have heard maybe an eagle go in or a huge roar, oh God, who's done what? What's happening there?
There was a moment. It sounded like to me there was a moment. I think in the last couple holes that DJ was on. There was screaming off in the background. There were like people screaming, and it was like, well, are they going to show what that was, or is it like people who live next door playing in a pool? I mean, I couldn't figure out what it was, and they never mentioned it or anything.
No.
Like that was really weird that you're hearing all these random things. I mean, it's one thing when a train goes by and you hear the train going on, but guys like Sungjae Im, was amazing for a 23-year-old.
Yeah, amazing, absolutely amazing, and again. Just no fear. I mean, I don't think he put a foot wrong the entire day. He was just beaten by a guy on the day that was just better. I thought, and then you got Cameron Smith as well. Coming, who ended up finishing second in the end. And you're thinking, who is this guy? And then faultless. Absolutely faultless coming through. And yeah, amazing. And then some of the guys who
Abraham Answer.
Yes, exactly.
on Saturday, Abraham Answers, his shots were, it's like, come on, this is video game stuff.
He was flowing. It was like, he wasn't phased on Saturday. And then on the Sunday, when he didn't get off to a good start, he just struggled to deal with that, I think, and drifted away. But his Saturday performance was, again, stuff that dreams are made of, really.
It really is. And then nightmares happen.
Yeah.
And as much as we'll talk about Tiger forever, that par 3 on the 2020 Masters, when he shoots a 10, was...
Well, yeah.
He was explaining it. He was saying it was the wind. He wasn't paying attention to the wind.
I don't care. I don't care
really?
what he says. I think I think he was doing it for all the people at home who kind of relate to making a 10 or absolutely blowing up a hole. He made them feel 100 times better. So I think that's why he did it.
Oh yeah, he did it for me. I mean, listen, I've talked about how I'm frustrated right now and I'm not enjoying myself on the course. Watching guys miss short putts, watching guys chunk the ball, or hitting one that just a dead pull hook. I was like, oh, that makes me feel so much better to watch them fail.
So true. It's
like, it's all of us. Why am I beating myself up if I 3-putt twice in a round when, these guys still 3-putt too, inside of 10 feet.
They do. And what I love about the majors is you don't generally see this on regular tour events, which again leads to this frustration amongst many, many golfers, is on normal PGA Tour events, they're just showing the leaders. They're showing people that making putts, ripping 350-yard drives, screaming their irons into the middle of the greens next to flags. And there's this assumption, if you're watching this all the time, that that's the way it should. And they do it all the time, these guys. Whereas if you notice, most players, they win a tournament, they miss the week. They're as inconsistent as everybody, really. But there's this TV can make you feel like you have to be hitting good shots all the time. And because obviously they want to film the best players, they're filming most of the shots. They're filming the good, the bad, and the ugly now, which is one of the reasons why I like watching it.
And then last topic for the Masters for 2020 is Bryson.
Mm-hmm.
The expectations were so high. He's had such an impact on the 2020 season and his body. And he's, like all the golfers want to talk to him. They want to listen to him. He's the mad scientist. But he was dizzy. I don't know what his story was, but he wasn't what we had hoped to see.
No.
What's your feeling about what he's done to his game this year?
I think as a professional golfer, I think it's amazing. I think what he's done everything he needed to do to raise his game to a level where he can be the best in the world. I think if he's taken the science, he's taken the stats, shown that ultimately, which is true, is if you hit it longer, you score better. If you can keep it, it is the stats are there. So I think he's done amazingly well, and I think he should be applauded for his effort and work ethic to do what he's done. For me, is amazing. Do I think it's good for the game of golf, the average person watching? Maybe for some youngsters coming through, because it could be exciting. But I think what's happening now with the world of golf is with people like Bryson and some of the people coming through, it's now becoming a bit unrelatable. The average age of a member of a golf club, certainly in the UK, is around about 16, or what it is in the US. But when people start looking at the likes of Bryson hitting it 350, I wonder how many people will start to take the game up, thinking, well, it's got to be like that to play golf. Whereas, way back, you'd get the guys smoking and having a drink and all that kind of things. And I know that was kind of the other extreme, but it was a relatable thing. It's like, I do that. I go down to I could probably play this game.
No, that's...
So I do wonder the impact it will have on the growth of the game in years to come. I don't know.
You think his body's going to be there when he's 35 years old?
No, I don't think it can be. I think sport just generally teaches you is that, and if you look at the Olympic athletes as a good example, you push your body to the limits, you max out your absolute potential, and I think what's probably happened over the next decade is people are going to come onto the scene, be on the scene for a much shorter period of time, because if the standard needs to be, you need to hit it 350 plus, if that's the standard, there will be a limit to your age and how and you being able to do that for a regular basis. I think if golf becomes a hitting game where distance is the deciding factor on whether you perform at the top of the leaderboard, then it has to be a short career. Because the guys, if once you get to your early 40s and your body's not going to be what it did in your 20s, you just won't be able to do it, not without injury.
Yeah, so Bernhard Langer at 62 can be out there.
No, exactly.
But you won't see
And I
Bryson
think
DeChambeau at 62 out there. Colin Morikawa, who won the PGA Championship in San Francisco, you might be able to see him when he's out there when he's 62, right?
Exactly. Because mechanics are built around longevity, whereas if you're building mechanics around speed and putting your body under that level of pressure, I just wonder, look, it's so early to tell. I am absolutely no expert on everything physical in that, the physical fitness of a human body, but I think Tiger's given us a clue as to what working out does. He's maxed career incredibly well. No one else was doing it. He was winning all those majors because no one else was really doing what he was doing. But his body's broken. How old is he now? 44, and his body's been broken for what, 4 or 5 years now, maybe longer.
No, a little more than that.
Maybe more than that. So, I think that's the future really for some of these players if they go down that road.
Fascinating. All right, let's take a time out, and we'll be back right after this. As a fan of Golf Smarter, you probably like going back and hearing old episodes to learn more from our guests. Hear them a second time, maybe a third. Well, then don't miss Golf Smarter Mulligans, your second chance to gain insights from the best instructors ever featured on Golf Smarter. It's from the archives of our show from the first 400 episodes that you just can't find anywhere. This week's episode is part 2 with Fred Shoemaker of Extraordinary Golf, and this time he's answering listener questions.
Imagine trying to coach someone to tap dance if they have Novocaine in both their feet. It's a daunting task. Well, they could probably pull their thighs around, but their feet are still numb. Most people have Novocaine in their golf swing to quite a bit of the area. Fred, I think I may have said this before. The reason I play better golf than you do is not because of talent and not because I've spent more time at it. I play better golf than you do because in the 2 seconds it takes to swing, I'm more aware of what's happening than you are at this moment.
That's episode 83 of Golf Smarter Mulligans with Fred Shoemaker, author of Extraordinary Golf and Extraordinary Putting, being released this Friday. Both Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans are free and available wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Please subscribe, and when you do, you'll be notified immediately when a brand new episode of either has downloaded to your favorite podcast app. All right, Danny, I've been obsessing over your videos again. I love your videos. I'll get to this question later, but my first question, what's a shank?
What is a shank? Something that we never talk about.
That's why I'm asking.
Puzzle rocket.
I'm going to get to the why. I'm going to ask the why in a minute, but make sure I have the right idea when I'm thinking what a shank is. Go, tell me.
Okay, shank. Shank is a ball that goes directly out to right-hand side if you are a right-handed golfer.
Okay. Why?
Yeah.
Well,
you don't have the shanks, do you?
I have on my wedges. All of a sudden, I'm hitting the ball off to the right.
Okay.
It's like, what was that? That's my swing. What?
Why? So why?
No,
why are you shanking? Why do you think you're shanking?
I don't know. I'm not a PGA professional.
Okay. So,
I'm just a hack, and I'm like trying to get through the end of a day.
So the first thing I would do is simple stuff. Get yourself set up. Make sure you're addressing the ball out of the middle of the club to start with. Some people, without realizing, if you look down at the club, some people are literally addressing the ball off the hosel. Okay, the hosel. So that's the first thing. That'd be the obvious thing to change. I would say probably 80 or 90% are caused by an over-the-top action. So the ball heads out to the right-hand side for right golfers. And obviously, because it's going that direction, the golfer naturally wants to avoid it, so they start to make it even worse, which is why it gets contagious, and they swing to the left. So you're bringing it more over the top. So do you happen to slice, or do you have a preference to fade or slice your irons or your driver?
Everything's a
Are you a drawer of the ball?
No, I can't draw the ball to save my life. And we talked about it with Noah Polipsky last week, and it was like, he says, if you just think about it, it'll happen. I'm like, okay. So I went out to the driving range, like, didn't happen. I can sometimes control the fade, and sometimes it goes a little bit more. But yeah, I'm always left to right.
So the reality is thinking about the trying to create it won't necessarily create it. And the reason being is if you've been playing the game a while, you've already developed patterns in your body. And so what we have to do is you have to create new patterns. And those new patterns, generally, for most people, will feel wrong. They'll feel linked. And what we often do is when I'm coaching people and I get them into, let's say, a draw pattern, if Shankins are all slicing, pulling family. They're all the same family. So when I start to change somebody's pattern and start to shift them over to the draw pattern, it can feel very, very strange. And often people will on the left question it and go, "Really? Are you sure?" And once they go through it, they go, "Oh, look at that." But you can imagine if they're on without me there pushing them, once they question, "Really? No way. I'm not going to do that." So you have to kind of break, you have to really push yourself sometimes into a different draw pattern. If you do that, then that is when you'll start to see the most improvement. You have to push yourself beyond the comfort zone.
Sometimes I'll step away, I'll take some practice swings, I'll loosen up, I'll come back, oh good, it worked, and then I'll take another, like, what happened?
Yeah.
So it's just random. It's not consistent.
No.
It's not the same club every time, but it is in the wedge family.
Yeah, it's for most people. My dad had the Shanks. So my dad had the Shanks my dad lives a good 4 hours away, so I don't get to see him that often. So we went up there and been shanking it for 6 months, on and off. And in the end, what I did was I just said, look, what part of the club are you hitting? He says, well, the neck. Okay, great. So have you ever tried to hit the toe of the club? And immediately he comes from the inside. So that's how, he starts to move towards the draw family. So I wasn't trying to stop him shanking it. I just gave him a different task. And I gave him the task to hit the toe of the club, and he did. And the shank disappears. But if you keep doing the same thing, and you're, let's say you're focusing too much on your mechanics, trying to stop a shank is completely the wrong task.
Great.
What we need to do is you're focused on it. You're gonna, you've still got it in. That's why it keeps coming back all the time. But if you change your task and think, this is just one idea, but like I said, just toe the club. Just maybe see if you can draw this one.
Because I'm focused on it.
Play around with it. Play around. Just experiment a little bit. Just by doing these things, you're changing the task, and therefore the likelihood of kind of hitting a shank just diminishes.
Okay, so then I want to take it to my grip. I'm going to make this about me. The grip, if I go to a weaker grip, and if I have that correctly, I bring my right hand under a little bit more, right? Is that a weaker grip?
That's stronger. So right hand under, if you're right-handed.
That's stronger.
Right hand strong. Yeah, if you move your right hand underneath the club, it's stronger. If you move it on top, it's weaker.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yep.
So I just had the terms wrong, but I had the right idea. If I go a stronger grip,
yes.
Am I going to be able? Was that going to either straighten out or give me a little bit of a draw?
Well, what it will do is it will give you if we let our arms hang down naturally. For most people, unless you've had an injury or something, if you let your arms hang down naturally, most people's hands hang around about 45 degrees. Okay, so what you're saying is, if you angle your hand, i.e. turn it underneath, you're starting to kind of move your hand away from the 45 to more neutral, kind of almost like 90 degrees. Yeah, and what you're going to do is your hand's going to want to, if you're gripping it underneath, your hand's going to want to return back to that 45 degree position. So yes, it could definitely help.
Okay.
Yep. Certainly. That's
self-diagnosed.
Yep. Yeah, I mean the club face in most of when I'm working with students, club face is king, and if you can play around with the face first, just get a feel for where it is. start first, and then you can add kind of the body and what you've got to do with the body. That comes later, you know. Swinging the club freely, get a feeling where the club face is to start with. That's a great base camp. And then improve the whole efficiency of it by then working on your body.
So how do I assess where the face is? What are the best ways to do that?
Ball flight initially. So you've got a couple of things. What I would do is I would just look at contact first. So the first thing I would do is spray the face with maybe some foot powder spray. Mm-hmm. So that will give you an idea of where you're contacting the golf club. So with your shank, for instance, simply just hit some shots with that golf club. Just notice where it's going, and then if you shank the neck, so then simply try and hit that in the center. I don't want to hit in the center. I'm going to try towards the toe. So you're going to literally make the goal still. Not forget about the shot. Don't, even if it's a good shot, don't hit it. Make the task to hit the toe. So that's your feedback. Now, you're not going to be able to draw wedges very easily because the loft cancels side. So you're not really going to be able to curve them. But if you were to say go to a 7-iron, what I'd then do is on purpose close even 45 degrees, like really shut it 45 degrees. Mm-hmm. Then you've got a chance to go, right, club face is closed. This is what it feels like to be closed. Hit a few shots with a closed face just to feel what it's like. So rather than try to close it, actually start close, hit some shots and go, oh, right, that's a closed face. Right, that's where I want to end up. Mm-hmm. Then you can go back to neutral, and then your aim is to see, can I move to that position I've just felt? Mm-hmm. Can I feel that? And make some, and the more flowing you get it, but you start off very small little shots, and then gradually build that feel in to think, can I get this club face closed? Then look at the ball flight. Are you closed? Are you seeing a ball that's curving right to left? And if you do, great. You started to get the club face sorted. You started to get an idea of club face. Should
I care that I don't hit a draw? If I'm just hit a natural fade all the time?
Yeah, no, not at all. You don't have to worry about it? Yeah, no, not at all. If you're a natural fader, fade it. People all the time, beginner golfers, right from the start. I try and teach them to hit it both ways, right from almost lesson 1 or 2. And the reason being, it has nothing to do with the fact that I want to try and get them to draw it and fade it on the golf course and make it complicated. It's that if you increase your awareness, closed face, so if you know what that feels like, and you know what an O feels like, you can become a better fader. Or if you're a drawer, become a better drawer. How often do you hear the golfers out there, they're hitting this big slice, and they were fading it the other day beautifully, but now they're hitting this big slice and they're going, I don't know how to hit it. Mm-hmm. And the reason why they don't know how to stop it is because they don't know how to turn it in the opposite direction. And that's one of the key aspects to this, is that being able, if you know how to close the face, you have the option to move it the other way and reduce that slice and turn it into a fade or even a much straighter shot. Hope that all makes sense.
It does. And it's kind of like what I figured I should be doing. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Take another time out. Be right back. Danny, I obsess over your videos. Once I get started, I cannot stop, and it's just so worth my time. I am so entertained and so educated every time I watch one of your videos that it makes me go, I got to do another one. Congratulations. Your stuff is really, really good.
I appreciate that.
Really good. Yeah.
I really enjoy doing it. I really do.
Well, that's what I love about it. It's obvious that you really enjoy doing it. Are you reading a script? Or are you just making this stuff up when you go along?
Most of it is just, I literally, it's fairly straightforward to me because most of the ideas come from you guys. They come from my lessons. So, usually I'm just passing on working in a golf lesson. So for me, it's just telling a story about a lesson I've just had. It's so most of it I could just do it in one take because. Yeah, I mean, it's just like having a conversation, isn't it? Really,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was watching one around the green, getting better chip shots around the green, and when you went into you did it on the short grass, and then you moved over to the rough,
yes.
And you kind of plugged a ball in and showing how to do it and doing it with one hand, right? But you did another video a while ago about short game when you talked about the pop.
Yes,
and you hear the ball hit it popped. But you didn't say pop this time. I'm like, wait, is that different than I thought? You want to hear that sound that you said as you're brushing.
The pop is still exists. Yeah. Do you know what's interesting about a lot of these things is that when you're filming and you're doing the videos, some people pick up on things that you weren't expecting them to pick up on.
Of course.
And you think, wow, really? That's so true. But do you know what? So people take one from the videos, and it never ceases to amaze me. I'll kind of think, I want them to take these 3 things, and then if you start to speak to people, they haven't those 3 things. They've taken another 3 things that I didn't even realize were in there. Which is brilliant. It's great.
Oh, no, that's happened to me on the podcast. I would meet a listener and they said, remember that time you said so? And I'm like, no, I have no idea that I said that. It's like I'm just having a conversation with Danny and we're talking about things and I don't, you're listening to it very differently than I am. I'm just having a conversation here.
Exactly.
But still, I just think your videos are so good. I'm surprised that you have an idea of where you want to go with this. But you don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know what you're going to say. You just kind of
I would say
free swinging.
Yeah, free swinging. No, there's definitely I know where I'm going with it. I know what I want. I'm very clear about what I want the watcher to get out of the video from what I've seen, because I've seen, obviously if I've just done a lesson, I know the structure already. I know what they've struggled with. I know what they're after. If somebody's slicing a golf ball, I know specifically exactly the steps you need to take to start to remove that slice and start hitting it much straighter. I know the struggles that you're going to have by doing it. If someone says there's a quick fix to some of these things, sometimes there are, but you know what? You're going to find this tough sometimes because it just feels weird.
Right.
And sometimes you've got to do that. And somebody who hasn't been playing at a beginner golfer, a lot easier to teach because they haven't built those habits. I'm teaching my wife Laura at the moment, and it's a breeze.
Congratulations! Wow, that's got to be tough.
We've had our
Isn't that rule number 1? You don't want to do.
Actually, we had one of our moments literally last week where I'm just in the middle of kind of giving her some advice. I've never had this before in all my years of coaching. She swung down and hit my shin. I literally knocked me to the ground.
Oh no!
We thought she might have broken something.
Oh
but
my
no,
God!
She didn't. So in all my years,
I'm sorry.
I know my years.
It's like, yeah, you did that on purpose.
She did. She was running around. I may have kind of exaggerated the pain.
No,
but,
getting hit in the shin with a golf club is going to hurt.
It was pretty painful. But no, Laura's been easy. Laura's been easy to teach. Laura's been very easy to teach, and it's great because we can have a conversation about it. It doesn't have to be your typical, let's have an hour session. Sometimes I can just pop in. She'll ask me something so I can, help her for 5-10 minutes. And then I can just literally leave her to it and not get in her way. And that's one of the goals a lot of the time is not to try to get in the way of coaching, get in the way of what she's trying to do. Every time she hears my voice, if she's thinking, then I'm just getting in the way. So,
well, and I think
that's
especially for amateurs who try to teach their wives how to play or play with their wives and are constantly mansplaining things or having giving lessons with,
please don't do it.
Giving lessons all through the swing. Forget about it's like forget about the driving range. It's on the course. They're like, no, you did that wrong. Now do it this way. It's like
I just think. Golfers love to help people. The thing, they just don't like seeing people struggle. They want to help people. They feel like doing the right thing. But the best thing you could ever do to anybody is just give them encouragement. It's not going to be, you're playing bad, but it won't last forever. Because the reality is that any advice you give them, you're just adding more stuff. They're already a load of stuff. Now you've just added things to their to-do list. Now the head's going to explode. No matter how good your intentions are.
Okay, so then you brought it up, man. So that's why my head's exploding.
Yeah.
So what are your I watched your video, one of the videos the other day, a recent one, a more recent one, where you talk about, you open up with, is this happening to you? You think about, okay, my hands are here, my head is here, my shoulders, now I got to bring it back. And you go through all these different steps, and it's like all these things that you're going through, and I'm like, yes, tweaking that, tweaking this, holding that, watching the wrist, going through, and then you say, you don't need to do that. You can get rid of that with these 3 simple things.
Yes.
And then you give this beautiful explanation of these 3 simple things. And at the end, I'm like, oh no, I have 3 more things to think about now.
I've just added your. I've
It's
just
like,
added
now
to
what
your
am I
to
gonna
dos.
do? Yes. It's like, it's such a great, and I'm like so amped up and ready to go listening to you do this. And then I'm like, at the end, I'm like, and you're like, that's all you got to do. And it's like, that's all? I got to start all over. I'm starting from scratch.
Yeah, I think so. What did you take from the video?
Okay, wait. Now, but before we go on, I just want to can we take one more quick break and we'll be back right after this.
What did you take from the video?
That your explanations are, I actually end each of your videos going, how did you know that? Are you constantly studying, or are you just making this stuff up? Do you just know this intuitively and it just comes out of your mouth? How do you know some of the stuff that you're talking about? Because it cuts through to such basic stuff and basic teaching. You're such an amazing teacher. It's just such ground level stuff that you're able to communicate in a way that makes it feel so simple.
I think.
So how do you know? That's what I keep asking myself. How does he know that?
How do I know the stuff, or how do I know that you're struggling with that?
No. How do you know the stuff that you're talking about that like makes so much sense, that you're teaching, and you do a different lesson every week, and it's like, how did you know that?
I think, yeah. I mean, I just, for me, I just don't see golf as just golf. I see it as a human movement, right? So I look. You throw a ball. You don't think about throwing the ball. There's a way to do it. You see a cup of coffee, you pick up a cup of coffee. You don't analyze all the individual bits. You've never learned how to do it. Mm-hmm. If I got you to stand on one leg, you could do it, and you don't have to analyze doing it and how your body's kind of automatically balancing. You know, I taught my boy to ride a bike.
But if I pick up a cup of coffee and tomorrow I pick it up and I drop it,
yeah,
and then the day after I pick it up and I spill it on my chin because I missed my mouth, I'm going to start thinking about these things.
Yeah, I mean.
You know, there are things, and, you know, but I've been picking up a cup since I was a little kid.
Yes.
But if I started picking up cups for the first time when I was in my 40s, like I did with golf, I'm going to analyze this stuff a lot more than just let it go.
Look, the reality is, I've got three young kids, and we were lucky enough to build a studio in lockdown. So the kids are hitting balls into the net, and if I film them and watch them doing it, so they miss the ball, they top the ball. And a phrase, I think it was coined from Tim Galway, actually. There are players out there that are one-ball players, some of them two-ball players. And what do you mean by that is most players are only ever one way from just they're playing really well, and they hit one bad shot, and that's it. They're analyzing what did I do wrong there. They're thinking about it, to cure it, etc. You may be a one-ball player. Maybe you're a 2, maybe you're a 3, maybe even 4. But if you hit 4 bad shots in a row, then you analyze. Now, what kids don't. Kids just keep open to just learn. They hit shots, they just keep going. They don't look around to see who's watching them and how, whether they're embarrassed. They don't question, I'm very good at this game. Should I, can I really play golf? Is it for me, this sport? What they do is they just see it as, I've got this lump of metal in my hands and I'm going to move it and going to try and apply this lump of metal to that ball. What we do as golfers, unfortunately, at times, and it's not golfers' fault, a lot of the time, unfortunately, people have analyzed the swing to death, into incredible detail. And I always say, look, the golf swing came first, coaches came second. The golf swing existed without those details. Great players came along with golf swings. Mm-hmm. And they didn't know any of this stuff. All the details and all the position here and the position there. They didn't know any of that stuff. They just swung a golf club. What happened is that when, as coaches, thought, they've got some things in common. They've got this move here, then this move here, then this move here. And they could come up with like 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 different moves, maybe even more. And then they try and teach those 12 things. Now, the problem is, what we would have been better off doing is starting to kind of interview those players and find out how have they established that technique? How did they become those players? What have they done? Have they and then, then you might say, well, they played a bit of hockey or they do things. That way, draw the golfer out of a person versus the other way where what we're tending to do is we're giving people lists of instructions and then asking them to complete a very complex activity in less than 1.5 seconds. It's just, for me, to come out with simple stuff that really works. I just think it's sense ready, but as we know, like I said, common sense isn't always common practice, I often say. So, yeah.
Well, it just made me realize, it made me think that you talk about, you don't think about throwing a ball. You don't, you just do it. You don't shooting a basketball and stuff. That may translate to golf, but it doesn't go the other way around, right? You can't take the things you learn on the golf course and apply them to throwing a ball or shooting a free throw.
Why not?
Does that make any sense?
Why not?
I don't know. It just crossed my mind. It's like, yeah, but does that translate? Can that go in both directions? And you're saying it can.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. So imagine this. So let's start with the golf club to start with. So one of the things I started in this video you mentioned. So the first thing you have to do, that club has to be free flowing. Now, a free-flowing golf club, if you can imagine this, if you take a golf club in one hand and literally allow it to fly around backwards, it will create a good circle, okay? Mm-hmm. Also have, when you're doing this, you'll have centrifugal force that will be kind of generated as the club flies around that circle, okay? So that is stage number one. That is building speed. Then let's take, how does that first of all relate to throwing a ball? Well, if you throw a ball, you have to have a very relaxed arm. You need to throw your arm. Mm-hmm. Yeah? So just like letting the club go, yeah, you have to let your arm go when you throw. Now, if you were to tense up your arm so it's really stiff. Now, you imagine trying to throw a ball with a stiff arm. Almost impossible. Yeah, you could move a ball, you could throw it to a certain degree, but you won't be able to throw it. So the arm and shoulder, everything needs to be relaxed. Then let's go back to throwing. How do you throw the arm? Well, the arm is thrown by the body. Mm-hmm. And
right.
It's thrown by the body because it's the organization of it is we start in the ground. You start with your legs. Your legs use the ground, then your torso comes in, your arm comes in, and you literally throw the ball. It's just natural for most, skimming a stone. Okay? How does this relate to golf? Well, if you can imagine the golf club is your arm, and your aim is to sling that golf club. So you start with that. So you're just imagining, getting that sense of you, like throwing with the feet, with torso, with the arms, just allowing the club's always behind and you're slinging it from behind you. So now what you've got is the bare bones of a very organized golf swing. And that's where I start. Now that golf swing doesn't at this stage guarantee that you're going to strike the ball perfectly or hit it dead straight at this stage. What it does do is it puts, for me, 2 ingredients in that doesn't exist with most people who play golf. Most people, and you can probably picture them, most people are hanging on for dear life. Their heads are dead still because they've been told to keep their heads still, and their bodies aren't moving at all. There's no slinging going on. They're literally just over the ball, stiff as a board, trying to be perfect. So put those 2 elements in first. Then what I do is people may miss the ball, may top it, they may hit some absolute amazing shots, but it's inconsistent. But you know what? That's where kids always start. Once the ingredients are in, then you start to refine them. Little by bit, bit by bit, you start to refine them. You may improve balance a little bit. You may improve how the club gets taken away. Tiny, tiny bits, but you still do it by making sure those 2 ingredients are always present in whatever you do. If you take one of them out of the equation, working on refinement, the whole swing doesn't work.
Interesting.
Flow, energy. If you're familiar with kinematics, the posh phrase for the organization of the body is the correct kinematic sequence. It's just a scientific term that they describe the most efficient way of propelling something forward and or the movement, the organization basically. But what most people do is they may start. Then they hit a few dodgy shots. They then go back to the control and they lose the first 2 because they're trying so hard to perfect their swing, and they're back to ground zero again.
Interesting. You've also added a new word to my list of things that you pronounce differently than I do.
What's this?
Centrifugal.
Centrifugal, yes.
Yeah, we call it, in the States, it's centrifugal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I need to remember that. I need to remember that for my videos.
Aluminium, right?
Really?
Aluminum.
Because I always say centrifugal boss, so centrifugal.
I know. And the first 3 times you said it on that video, I'm like, what's he saying? What? Centrifugal. Okay, got it.
I have to remember that because a lot of my audience is from the US. So
a lot of the YouTube audience is from the US. Yeah, but it's global.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't worry about it. But what I just did now is you started doing video. You probably started playing golf as a kid, but you started doing video as an adult. Now you're going to start thinking about it. And now you're going to start, oh, wait, I shouldn't have. Oh, did I do that? Oh, see? And that's where my golf game goes.
Well, do you know what? Do you know what, Fred? It's so funny because the video that I shot, this one, which I was kind of really proud of, video quality came out, so it was shocking. But the day before when I was creating something, I had a really bad day. I just didn't perform. It's the first one I've done for ages. And I just what you're saying, I realized I wasn't thinking of the audience. And when I'm really engaged with the person who's watching, I'm really engaged. That's when things flow. When I'm just creating a video, and maybe I'm trying to get into the detail too much about how do I structure this? What's the best thing for me to do here? All those things. That's when I just don't flow, and therefore I started the video. I was there for about 4 hours, which is ridiculous. You know, I film a video in probably 20, 30 minutes. I was there 4 hours and I had nothing to show for it. I just was so disappointed in what I'd created. So I didn't film, I just didn't produce it.
Wow.
Didn't edit it or anything.
Well, as someone who's been a producer most of my professional career, let me give you this piece of it, and you already probably figured it out because it's common sense, but don't talk to the camera, don't talk to a crowd. Just talk to one person.
Yeah.
Just keep one person in mind because people don't watch these in groups.
Yeah.
Right? And you just need to communicate one-to-one.
Yeah.
But you know that already because you're so good at it.
Well,
intuitively.
I wasn't good a couple of days ago. That's for sure.
All right. Well, the video channel on YouTube, Danny Maude, Maude. And is that the English pronunciation, or is that the American pronunciation?
That's fine. I'm happy with that. Danny Maude, that's good.
It's great to talk to you again, and I really enjoy speaking with you. I love watching your videos. I find you so entertaining, and I hope that I can keep dragging you back on to have these conversations.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I really enjoy speaking to you.
And I enjoy speaking to you, too. But where else can people find you on the web? So
I've got a site that's going to be launched very soon, dannymaude.com. We're getting some courses on there that you can just download completely for free. I'm also just started to create some shorter videos on Facebook too. So they're starting to go down very well. So going live there usually at least once a week, and we're producing some shorter form videos, so maybe 3 to 5 minutes long maximum, just for Facebook. And you can find me there at facebook.com/Danny Maude fan.
Excellent. Danny, great to talk to you again. Stay safe, stay well, keep the kids indoors, except when you have to send them to school so you guys can get a break. Great talking to you again, man.
And you.
Now, before we announce this week's winner of the pair of SQAIRZ Golf shoes, I want to share something with you. One of our recent prizes, and we've given many of these away over the last couple of years, the High Heat 257 Plus Fairway Medal from Knuth Golf. It was awarded to June Gaston. And she told me, she sent me an email saying how much she loved the club, so I had to ask her for myself. So I spoke to her the other day, and here's what she had to say about her brand new High Heat 257 Plus Fairway Medal.
Hello.
Hi, June.
Yes.
It's Fred Green.
Hi, Fred. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, good.
You playing golf today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Okay. Are you taking out your new club that you won from Golf Smarter?
Absolutely.
Tell me about, you won the High Heat 257, right?
Yeah, it's a 7-wood. Yeah. That's really nice. It gets the ball up in the air pretty easily, which I need because I was having trouble with my 3-wood, for my second or usually second shot, after a tee shot on a par 4 or par 5, I was having trouble, getting that thing up in the air. And this is, it's pretty easy.
Really?
Yeah, it's nice.
So what was the moment that you hit it and went, oh, this is staying in the bag?
Let's see. I got it, and probably 2 days later, I went to the range and I started hitting it. And when I hit it and it went, up in the air, and I said, okay, this is it.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad that it's working for you.
Yeah, I really like it a lot.
And now you can get the ball up in the air with that 7-wood, huh?
I can. Absolutely. I love it.
Oh, she's so sweet. Okay, now it's time to announce our next prize giveaway with a chance for you to win a pair of SQAIRZ golf shoes. Now, these are the shoes that Sir Nick Faldo recently professed that they are the best golf shoes he's ever worn. Quite a testimonial. After he did that testimonial, he bought into the company. Incredible. Anyway, congratulations to Steve Durkin of Cincinnati, Ohio. Actually, I think that Steve has won before. Not sure when, or even what he won, but I do remember his name. Oh well, it just goes to show that even if you've won before, you can win again. Anyway, Steve, I'll email both you and Bob Winskowitz, CEO of SQAIRZ Golf Shoes. Sure, I would love to copy you and Nick Faldo too, but, ain't going to happen. And to those of you who are interested in these SQAIRZ shoes but didn't win, make sure you remember to use Golf Smarter 10 at checkout to receive $10 off your purchase at SQAIRZ.com. That's SQAIRZ. SQAIRZ, SQAIRZ.com. And we thank Bob so much for his continued support and generosity. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, I'd love to hear from you. And again, sorry about today's recording. It won't happen again. But if you want to feed me some thoughts on it, just click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.